Hey, so the Democracy Space Station is finally up and running. We're going to go over the tactical actions, donations, voting, and I'm going to give you my honest first impressions of the DSS, and we'll talk about everything you need to know, and there's much more we'll be going over. With that being said, make sure you support the channel by tapping the like button below, and if you want to, subscribe with notifications on at any point. Well, the Democracy Space Station has finally been constructed. It's now up and running. It took roughly 3 months total for us to get to this point, since the first announcement was made back on September 28th, and it's now October 13th. Well, by the time you're watching this, it'll be the 14th. Anyway, we have 3 tabs at the top, starting with the Summary tab. It shows the current location of the Democracy Space Station, which right now is Gallivere. It also indicates where the next location will be, determined by the voting system, which we'll discuss soon. On the bottom left, we have our action section, where these 3 options display how many donations have been made, and provides an estimated time until we can donate again. Yes, there's a limit and a cap. Speaking of which, the second tab is for actions. If we go over to this tab right here, you can see there's 3 tactical actions listed: Planetary Bombardment, Eagle Storm, and Orbital Blockade. The thing is, you can donate to each one, but the unfortunate part is that there is a limit to how much you can donate. Basically, once you've reached your donation cap, you have to wait 24 hours before you can donate again. Starting from the top, you can only contribute 50 rare samples. The second option is capped at 75 common samples. And lastly, you can donate up to 10,000 requisition slips before you have to wait until the next day to give more. Now, I thought this was kind of a letdown, considering there's a cap on how much you can give and also how long you have to wait to donate more. The benefits, however, do seem somewhat interesting. For instance, the description of the planetary bombardment says this right here: the DSS fires non-stop orbital bombardments from its suite of 77 presidential-class cannons, providing planet-wide artillery support and accelerating liberation efforts. Fires periodic orbital barrages during missions, accelerates progress in liberation campaigns. The reason why I say it's interesting is that apparently the Democracy Space Station will send down an orbital barrage periodically during missions, as it says, but it doesn't explain how it will function in game, right? Is it going to be random, or will it target specific enemies like bug breaches or automaton dropships? Now, I don't believe these are going to be stratagems at all. Instead, the DSS will somehow know when to send them down, like for instance, bug breaches. I also believe these tactical actions are temporary, so once we donate the resources, we'll have to do it again. But the thing is, I'm not entirely sure how long it'll last, but if it's only 24 hours, that will be a bit upsetting. The cool part about it though is that we've got a passive here that accelerates liberation on planets, and this will make a huge difference when liberating planets. Next up, we have the Eagle Storm that helps with slowing down defense campaigns, as it says right here. DSS crews maintain deployment of a 24-hour rotating fleet of Eagle fighters from the massive 3-tiered Convocation Bay, supporting all Helldiver operations on the planet with close air support and slowing enemy offensives. Deploys periodic Eagle airstrikes during missions, slow enemies' progress in defense campaigns. Again, it's a bit vague. We don't know if we'll be able to use these as stratagems, since they're called tactical actions instead. The only part we know is that it will help slow down the defenses on the planets we vote for. Either way, it sounds like it will be exciting to witness in-game, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Lastly, the third and final tactical action is the Orbital Blockade. What I'm understanding is that if the Democracy Space Station is orbiting a planet, the planet will not be able to turn into a defense event. And we'll be able to, have the Hellpod Space Optimization Booster as well for all missions. Right here, we can see it says, the DSS activates its zero-G anti-ship missile system, targeting all large enemy spacecraft attempting to exit the planet's atmosphere. In addition, diverts excess manpower to Super Destroyer logistical support. Defense campaigns cannot originate from this planet. The Hellpod Space Optimization Booster is automatically active for all missions. This right here, I like this one a lot, since we'll be able to use the Hellpod Space Optimization Booster without actually equipping it. So that right there should be quite effective if we get enough donations for it. Now, with all the information provided, my first impressions are that this looks like a solid concept. We donate resources and are then rewarded with tactical actions that appear to be temporary. And the tactical actions will be sent down to help us with these missions. What I don't like, and you might feel differently about this, is there being a donation cap and having to wait 24 hours before I can donate more. I'm sure a majority of you can easily acquire common and rare samples, let alone requisition slips, easily and fast. Personally, I dislike caps in general, or time gates basically. When I play a game, I want to be able to spend my resource or currency on whatever and not have to wait the very next day for it to be usable, or in this case, to be able to donate it. I'm sure if you all had the chance, you would probably dump all of your samples and requisition slips all at once without a second thought. Now, what I'm disappointed with is that I believe a lot of us were expecting a bit more than what was handed to us. I'm not saying this is terrible or that the Democracy Space Station is a waste. It's absolutely not. It's going to provide us with things to do momentarily, but at the same time, it feels like this is a feature that took way too long to arrive when it didn't need to be that way. We went through multiple major orders, worked really hard together to get this space station running, and it felt like there was going to be more with it, like stratagems we can actually use. But that's not the case after all, and I will get into the stratagems here in a few seconds. Yet I just want to clarify that I'm happy with it, yet also disappointed with certain parts of it. Like the longer wait time with the 24-hour cooldown, the cap on donations, and I just don't know if it was worth the wait. This feels like a feature we could have received a lot earlier, instead it took roughly 3 months just for us to get to this point. I believe they could have handed out newer missions, right? Biomes, a new enemy type, just something within that time frame. So again, I'm not saying it's bad at all, but what I am saying is that I think the developers could have given more content instead of extending the DSS out for such a long time. With that being said, I'd love to know your thoughts on this and how you all feel about it. Do you think we should have had this done sooner rather than later so that we could have received content like newer missions and all the stuff I just pointed out? Please let me know how you feel about it, because I'd love to have a great conversation with you all about this in the comments below. Also, I don't believe any of these tactical actions are stratagems. Instead, they're essentially passive stratagems. And that's mainly due to the fact the developers mentioned in the descriptions that it will periodically send down barrages or eagle strikes. Not only that, we've never seen a reddish border stratagem before, granted that it is connected with the DSS, plus the Arrowhead developers are calling them tactical actions instead of stratagems. So I don't think we'll be able to send these tactical actions on our own will. Instead, the Democracy Space Station will send them down if there's a bug breach or if the Automatons call in dropships. Then the DSS will target those enemies automatically. If we look at the leaks that were revealed previously in the past, we can see there were talks of warnings, but no combinations were mentioned at all. For example, we can look at a post right here that was created last month by a leaker named Asunder Knight, who posted this text from the in-game file, and it says, "Danger warning type DSS planet bombardment, danger warning type DSS Eagle Storm." You can clearly see these are warnings, yet no combinations were discovered, so there's a high possibility that the tactical actions will be called down automatically once a bug breach is detected, or if the bots call in dropships, as I've mentioned. I suspect it will give us a warning, as it obviously says, and we'll then have to move out of the way before it sends it down, right? So I'm sure we'll find out sooner or later how this will work, but I'm going to say most likely we won't be able to send them down manually. Not to mention, when we vote for tactical actions, only one can be activated at a time. This might be obvious, but for those who don't know, yeah, you can only activate one. We've got another DSS leak here revealed a while ago about the Democracy Space Station by Asunder Knight, and it says right here, "Cast your vote to influence where the DSS will be stationed during its next cycle. Donate resources to activate the station's tactical action. Powerful abilities that can dramatically alter the fight for planet's freedom. Only one tactical action can be active at a time." Yeah, I'm not entirely sure how it's decided. Perhaps it's whichever one receives enough donations first, that gets selected. Besides that, it's clear how this works. Only one can be selected and used on the planet. With that said, I wonder what will happen if all three are filled out. Will we be able to use the next tactic on the subsequent planet, or does it all reset? This is something I'm interested to find out. Lastly, for the DSS, what I'm going to do is bring up a video that was uploaded by the Arrowhead team on their X account. I'll showcase it here, and you can catch me towards the end of the video to discuss the rest of the topics I'd like to address.
Good evening. I'm your host, Coretta Kelly. The Democracy Space Station has completed its first test fire, successfully destroying a small moon. It is now ready to enter operation. Staffed by over 1.5 million personnel and costing over 1 billion supercredits a day to operate, the DSS is expected to make an immediate and significant impact to the galactic war. The placement and usage of the DSS will be voted on by the Helldivers. This marks an auspicious milestone. The first use of managed democracy to direct a massive superweapon. Up next, reports of missing colonists are on the rise. Could adventurous comic books be to blame? Stay tuned.
With that video right there, if you didn't notice on the bottom left, it talks about a black hole. Yeah, what's happening at Meridia anyways. So here's the exact quote. Black hole worshipping cult of the orb, arrested, tried, convicted, re-educated. So that right there is a worshipper or cult of some sort that I guess we're talking about the Meridia orb or doing something right. And it could also be a hint that the Illuminate are very close. Setting aside the Democracy Space Station news, we've got a status update on the devs content room. If you don't know what it is, basically it's the streaming room I've been talking about in the last 2 videos, I believe. But anyways, a member in the Discord essentially asked what was so difficult with the setup. And since the last time I brought this up, the community manager Twinbeard mentioned there were some technical issues going on. He explained it further today by writing this in response. Not a lot specifically, it's just the general things of digging into new hard and software when setting a new big build up. Checking what works, tweaking, do a lot of trial and error, etc. Audio and routing is the most challenging and time-consuming part of building a streaming setup by far. And we're building one from scratch, which means a lot of work. I hope it'll be fun in the end though. Right now, I'm going on search to locate where you change noise suppression gate on the RCP2 because I noticed it cuts away too easily for our setup straight out of the box. Well, it's starting to look like it'll take time for Twinbeard to figure out the setup and get everything working perfectly, which makes sense. These type of things take time and you definitely do not want to rush the process, especially if you're planning on doing live streams. The last thing you want is to encounter audio or video issues live, especially in front of a lot of people. Lastly but not least, I want to bring up a topic about a PlayStation player who had his information sold by a PlayStation employee. The player has proof that it was indeed an employee at PlayStation since he received screenshots anonymously with his information that was being sold online. The post was created recently on X and has received 1 million views and counting. He wrote this specifically in his post, which I believe is translated, and he said, "A few days later, I received a message on WhatsApp from a random person saying my data are leaked on the internet, and the user is bribing PlayStation employees and stealing user data and selling/banning them. All photos and evidence are in the video. The photos clearly show PlayStation admin computers, which no users can access on a normal computer." So that's sketchy and very unprofessional for Sony to allow their own employees to do this, and I wonder how long this has been going on. If you want to check out the full link, it will be in the sources below in the description. Okay, usually I talk about your suggested loadouts. Now, if you did post one in the previous video, I am still deciding which one to choose. But if you post another comment in this one, I will definitely choose it. And I'm sorry if I'm slurring or whatnot. I have been up all freaking night, guys. I'm telling you, I haven't slept yet. I'm extremely tired and I'm still sick. But yes, post your loadouts below if you have already done it before. If you do, I will feature 2 loadouts in the next video. So make sure you comment down below what your suggested loadout is, and I'll feature it in the next video. There will be 2. With all the information being said, this is your Helldivers 2 news. We're now going to cover the top 3 comments. Remember, if you would like to be featured, all you have to do is comment down below, and I might just pick your comment. The first top comment is by Diedrichs. We have to push the issue about having more information in the galaxy map. We're having to use a third-party website when this information needs to be in the game. I'm absolutely 100% with you, brother. We absolutely need that in the game. But at the current time, it appears it's going to take some time before we even get there. Because, yes, they did hire a second game master, but it's going to take time for them to actually code that stuff into the game. The second comment is Sir Pibble. They don't need to explain gambits on the map. they need to make a brash tactics video about it. Well, if they do, they need to make it so that we can replay it, or, you know, at least be able to watch it multiple times, right? And lastly, we have Panachovitz. If I am pronouncing that right, I used a translator. No, I'm not kidding. I had to figure out how it was pronounced. Anyways, you said, another DSS needs your help. Here, I marked it on your map. This one, I laughed out loud when I saw it, man. I literally did. It made me chuckle. If we had another DSS we had to construct, I would probably give up on making Helldivers 2 videos, and I would probably stop playing. Okay, obviously I'm slurring my speech. I'm extremely tired. I stayed up all night trying to get this video done so I can give it to you guys in the morning. But honestly, I appreciate everyone that has stopped by, you know, and you guys out there that are still hoping that I get better. My voice is extremely raspy because 1, I'm tired. 2, my voice is healing after being sick. So excuse me if my voice is just terrible throughout this video, but I truly appreciate you guys sticking around and watching it. Hopefully you watch the whole entire video, or at least 10 minutes of it. But yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. Subscribe right now, it's completely free. And if you guys can, make sure you join as a membership. It's pretty cheap and it allows you to support this channel and just, you know, support me too. So yeah, thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next one.